long shore.
Okay, then some is going to be Madison, some is going to be a cable or one, which you have to do it. Anything that we can work on the
Today we are gathered here to commemorate the 66th anniversary of the Tibetan National Uprising Day. The program begins at 10 o'clock in front of the city county building. First of all, we have the raising the Tibetan flag by the Dane County Executive, Ms. Melissa Agat, Mayor Satya Rhodes Conway, and the WTA President, Mr. Chika, to declare March 10th as the Tibet Day in the state of Wisconsin and in the county of Dane. And to have a Tibetan national anthem followed by the American national anthem. Thank you. Next we have a long show, which is an Uprising song by the Weekend Cultural School students. Tibetan brothers and sisters who have lost their lives for Tibet's cause, and those who have self-immolated in the recent months, and also for the lives lost in the recent earthquake in Tibet. 1 minute of silence. Thank you.
Together to defend and preserve your culture and your homeland. I commend the tremendous courage of the Tibetans of 1959, as you all do today as well, and of those who are continuing to fight today and into the future. Today, we are echoing the call to the government of China to engage in meaningful dialogues with His Holiness to pursue a negotiated solution that upholds self-determination, freedom, and sovereignty of the Tibetan state and Tibetan people. And as the Dane County Executive, on behalf of the people of Dane County, I am proud to bear witness as we raised the Tibetan flag today in front of the City County building to recognize March 10th as Tibetan Day. The spirit of the Tibetan nation has not been dampened by years of occupation and oppression. The acts of malice that have been endured by too many have only heightened the cries that we all unify our voices for justice and demand that the world cast eyes on Tibet and her people. This flag and our actions today are a recognition of the support of the tireless work of every single one of you and Tibetans who are united across this globe to serve as a single symbol of solidarity in our fight so that you may return home. That is why we are here today. And it is my extreme honor and privilege to present a citation on behalf of Dane County. Now hereby there be it resolved that I, Melissa Agard, the Dane County Executive, on behalf of the citizens of Dane County, do hereby recognize March 10th of 2025 as Tibetan Day in Dane County, celebrating the Tibetan community, recognizing and joining with you your plea for justice, in supporting you in your struggle every single day until we cross that finish line. To the people of Tibet, yesterday, today, and tomorrow, thank you.
Next, we have Mayor Satra Rhodes Conway to read the 10th March statement from the Office of the Dane County Mayor of Madison.
Good morning. It's my honor to join you here this morning. We stand here in Madison on the ancestral home of the Ho-Chunk people. And we send out into the universe a prayer that the Tibetan people will be able to stand on their ancestral lands someday in peace. As we recognize this day, I think there are things that our country, our people here in Dane County and Madison can learn from the Tibetan people. I think we can learn things about resistance, about persistence, about cultural preservation. And I think the world has things to learn from the Tibetan people, because we are in a time when we see, not just in Tibet, but in many other places around the world, where those who would steal land and crush cultures are moving upward and forward. All around the world, we have a need for resistance. We have a need to fight back. We have a need to take care to preserve our cultures. And so I hope today and every day that we here in Madison and everywhere around the world can learn from the Tibetan people and your strength and your resilience and your persistence. And I join the county executive in saying that I hope you know how welcome you are here in Madison and how much we value the beauty and the strength and the diversity that you bring to our community, and that we stand with you as you work to preserve your culture and to fight for a return to a free Tibet. And so it is my honor to read the end of this mayoral proclamation. Whereas Madison's Tibetan community is a vibrant and thriving part of our city, we honor and celebrate their efforts to keep their cultural traditions strong and recognize the Tibetan flag flown over the city-county building as a gesture of solidarity with the people of Tibet. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Satya Rhodes Conway, Mayor of Madison, Wisconsin, do hereby proclaim March 10th, 2025 as Tibet Day in the city of Madison, to serve as a reminder that all people deserve dignity and self-determination, and that freedom is worth defending all around the world.
May I now request Wisconsin Tibetan Association President Mr. Chichabla to give a brief talk on the March 10th Uprising Day.
fellow friends and fellow Tibetan supporters of justice. Today we gather to commemorate a day etched in the annal of our history, 10 March, Tibetan Uprising Day, a day that resonates with both profound sorrow and unwavering resilience, a day that reminds us of the enduring spirit of Tibetan people. 6 years ago, on this very day, the heart of Lhasa beat with courageous defiance of a nation. Our people rose up against the brutal Chinese occupation, a forced annexation that tore our land, our culture, and our freedom from us. The cries of Uprising, Gyami Pene, Hargyuji echoed through the streets, a testament to our unwavering determination to reclaim our birthright. But the response was swift and merciless. The Chinese government, with its overwhelming military might, crushed the uprising, unleashing a wave of violence and oppression that continues to this day. We remember the countless lives lost, the families shattered, the monasteries destroyed, and the systematic erasure of our unique identity. The occupation continues inside Tibet. Our brothers and sisters endure relentless human rights abuses. Freedom of speech, religion, and assembly are systematically denied. Political prisoners languish in jails, their voices silenced. Our rich cultural heritage, our ancient traditions are under constant threat of assimilation. The very fabric of Tibetan society is being torn apart. We must also confront the painful legacy of colonial boarding schools, institutions designed to strip the Tibetan children of their language, culture, and connection to their families. This insidious form of cultural genocide aims to sever the thread of our identity, leaving a deep wound on our collective soul. Yet, despite these immense challenges, the Tibetan spirit remains unbroken. The flame of freedom burns bright in the hearts of Tibetans across the globe. We remember the tireless effort of His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama, a beacon of peace and compassion, whose unwavering commitment to non-violence has inspired millions. His message of universal responsibility and the pursuit of dialogue has resonated far beyond the borders of Tibet, earning him the Nobel Peace Prize and admiration of the world. The Tibetan diaspora, scattered across continents, has become a powerful force for change. We have established vibrant communities, preserved our culture, and amplified the voice of our people. From Dharamshala to New York, from Toronto to Zurich, we are united in our shared struggle. But the fight for Tibet's freedom is not just the responsibility of few leaders or organizations. It is the responsibility of each and every Tibetan, wherever they may be. We must educate ourselves and others about the true history of Tibet, the ongoing human rights abuse, and the aspiration of Tibetan people, we must amplify the voice of inside Tibet who are unable to speak for themselves. We must support Tibetan organizations that are working to preserve our culture, promote human rights, and advocate for our freedom. We must engage with our government and international institutions, urging them to hold China accountable for its action in Tibet. We must never lose hope. We must carry the torch of our ancestors, their courage, and their resilience. Each of us has a role to play. Each of us, each act of resistance, each word of truth, each gesture of solidarity contributes to the liberation of Tibet. Let us honor the memories of those who have sacrificed their lives for our freedom. Let us reaffirm our commitment to non-violence struggle, and let us work together with unwavering determination until the day when the Tibetan people can finally live in peace and dignity in our own homeland. May the light of truth shine on Tibet. May the spirit of freedom prevail, and may the day of our reunion come soon. Finally, Communist Chinese Party must understand we Tibetans are always willing to sit and talk to settle Tibetan issue for the better of not only Tibetan, but for the Communist Party too, and the Chinese people, and for the world peace. Hergelo, Hergelo, Hergelo. Thank you so much.
May I now request Morgan Sally to read the 10th March statement from the Office of Congressman Mr. Mark Buchanan.
Good morning, all. It's an honor to be here on behalf of Congressman Pocan. My name is Morgan Solly. I know Congressman Pocan couldn't be here today. He has votes in Washington, D.C. this week, but he does send his warm regards, and he also has this letter for me to read to all of you. I want to thank the Wisconsin Tibetan Association for your warm welcome. Today we observe the anniversary of the Tibetan National Uprising Day. It's an honor to thousands of Tibetans who stood strong against the unlawful occupation of Tibet by the Chinese government. 66 years later, the Tibetan people still face these same oppressive policies. That's why I was proud to support legislation passed by the House to impose sanctions on the Chinese Communist Party for its continued human rights abuses. By receiving this award, you bring recognition and pride to all of Dane County and inspire others in our community to pursue their passions with dedication. Your support contributes to further appreciation for art education involvement and with overall community. Today we unite further to support and empower Tibet's quest for freedom. Thank you for promoting peace and for giving a voice to the people of Tibet. Sincerely, Mark Buchanan, Member of Congress.
Next, we have Mr. Dadul to read the Wisconsin Governor's, Mr. Tony Evers' March 10 proclamation.
Hello, my name is Prabhu Dadhal, and it is my honor to read the proclamation of Governor Tony Evers. Whereas the United States Congress has enacted legislation declaring Tibet an occupied country whose true representatives are the Dalai Lama and the Tibetan government in exile, and whereas the United Nations Human Rights Subcommission has passed a resolution concerning the present threat to the distinct cultural, religious, and national identity of the Tibetan people. And whereas the suppression of human rights in Tibet and around the world must be of the utmost concern. And whereas today, the state of Wisconsin joins Wisconsinites and Tibetans across the world in recognizing the 66th anniversary of the peaceful uprising by the Tibetan people in Lhasa, the capital of Tibet, to protest the occupation by the People's Republic of China and honors the more than 1 million Tibetans who have died in pursuit of justice and human rights. Now, therefore, I, Tony Evers, Governor of the state of Wisconsin, do hereby proclaim March 10th, 2025 as Tibet Day throughout the state of Wisconsin, and I commend this observance to all our state's residency, in testimony whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused the great seal of the state of Wisconsin to be affixed. Done at the Capitol in the city of Madison this 27th day of February 2025. Thank you.
Next, may I call Mr. Champakituvla to read the Central Tibetan Administration Kashak statement in Tibetan.
Pemi Rawa Gyalang Sumju today, thank Tukju Redu Be Zegor Kasha Kitamshe. Milu Tokju Redu Kongi Tering, Pegi Yasa Hasar, Chusum Pemitsu, Penjor, Yamaki, Zubjola, Sube, Tasede, Moguki Legu, Shijechewa, Pegu Chungarte, Yamaki Tagno, Pemitita to me, Cheso Shorwatang. Pimi Timdungi, Shung Gande Podanta, Te Jesu, Nyeki, Pimi Tigyetam, Zenju to Charne, Pugi, Jarab, Lujunang, Mar Chumanyongwe, Munata, Nyandang Cheshugi, Tukup Shigla, Dongle Chegu Chung Yube, Tuten Zegudi, Yune, Luso Shorwe, Pao Pamo Namla, Jeten Ngobentang, Yashungi, Zene, Narju Lang, Nya Mishumbe, Shilu Pinda Namla, Dongsem Nyamye Shushiye. Debe Milo Tukju Retu Ringtang, Hakbaratu, Tade Yanaki, Wangjin Batsu, Pu Miri, Same Tongyu, Miyu, Begung Mebar, Tungha Miri, Chikdu, Dudupki, Dushi, Tenzu Serva, Dagne, Pu Mirigi, Ngo, Dordu Chukde, Geri Imbe, Dushi, Zenge Tang, Puju Nangde, Tungu Chendu, Yuju She. Pimi Chute Rangwa Tote, Gomba, Lopta Jendu, Zengur, Yagap, Chichu, Ki, Chate, Server, Niete, Lopta Tang, Chitu, Teng, Puri, Lomyetan, Pujula, Cho Yone, Gobne, Pugi, Rilon, Genze, Tar, Terka, Mogdun Tang, Zubdun Nam, Tangme, Zubdun Nam Tang, Damin Ki, Kuryu, Torgyun Toma, Sogi, Sichu. Musum Zemeki, Laglan, Tardang La Tena, Yashunki, Wangzimba, Tedaki, Pudang, Pimi, Levana, Yamsu, Jigyerwa, Shik, Linshi, Yunayang, Henny, Duami, Tumung Rintangla, Yabgeta, Chizo, Pedula, Yaki Chope, Ranshi, Nibongi, Le Yimba, Mijangwar, Raju, Chenge, General Constitution Chubuchoki, King Gongshitang, Shume, Tuktuk. Ki Shepherd Kyangwe, Pimitsu, Ranyu Central Ki, Pinda Saya Chikang, Bongi Ha, Timi Gelam to Tongkingi, Jakongin Shunga, Hongte, Daku Masungwar, Pugi Cheta, Rishun, Ki, Kuryu Che, Kuryu Che, Rangwang, Nang, Chejung Sungyuk, Yawar Mikde, Nime Ume Lamji, Jungo Ne, Pela, Mingdun Sungbe, Rangjong, Yongtabki, Siju, Yunjong Che Shimbani. Tumyotang, Sewa Meba, Nime, Furingi, Kase, Tablam Jela Tene, Puji Zunyo Sewe, Mundu Di, Jusen Yang Dada, Lalen, Tarung Imber, Ichi Yoba Mase, Pu Satu Siba Chakba, Ne Sung, Yudir, Daku Ngoma, Yudi, Daku Ngoma, Pu Mirik, Diri Sujang, Shumshi Mifebe, Churiki, Kayuntang, Sujang, Pagong Minube, Mimangi, Simshu, Sujang, Sub, Chip, Mitube, Lame, Uti Chik Yoba, Chegi, Tembo, Senda, Shikyang Yin. Delor, Chinor, Consajangue, Chimucho, Chilu, Tar, Gongra, Gujul, Pebe, Pepi Yoba Tar, Pime Dixuki, Kui, Kodene, Sung, Lo Kormor, Chamze, Lo. Sungzi Shiju Seta Wansong Shin Consajamgu Chimbuchoki Koladi Chinuki Kobatang Nang Chuki Simje Chila Chikjurungang Pende Dube Shegong Tang Techedu Tukzue Nang Shimbe Zegurushi Lomyer Julen Susu Nyamle Shenla Kube Shujuni Kui Koduengi Tuning Yimbe Kanden Jenjuk Batang Tunyer Chensor Tede Ningjang Yongwe Begu Shushin Yu Teringi Kogop Di June, Pugi Dendue Tapsutang, Pumi Chizu, Dendue Tok Mushu Yusumne, Yakyor Roram Nanki, Sishung Tang, Sokde, Gapatela, Ning Tapone, Tukichi Shuyu. Tade Chinor Kopjamgu Chimuchok, Zamling Shidetang, Ruami, Digi Giche, Zeguru Chimu, Shi Dagir Shede, Dogam Dame, Longi Temba. Chidara Shaji Sheba Shin, Kuzi Shabe, Yundu Tenjing, Sajen Riburu, Gombu Kang Yegi, Tuki, Melam, Husu Mimbe, Mendu Shujuche, Kashagi, Chilunido, Yishanga, Dawasumbe, Chula, Tochena. Hey Galu! Hey Galu! Hey Galu! Free Tibet! Free Tibet! Free Tibet! Free Tibet! Free Tibet!
May I now request Tenzin Chebel Gurek to read the Kazakh statement in English.
So I'll be reading the shortened and heavily edited version of Kasha's statement. For a complete and accurate statement, please visit tibet.net, and it will be posted on WTA public WhatsApp group. The Kasha statement on the 66th anniversary of the Tibetan National Uprising Day. On this date, 66 years ago, in Tibet's capital Lhasa, Tibetans from all three provinces unitedly rose up against the illegal occupation of Tibet and the China's brutal, inhumane policies and practices in Tibet. Under the violent suppression of Chinese forces, over 1 million Tibetans lost their precious lives and compelled the legitimate Tibetan government led by His Holiness the Great 14th Dalai Lama, followed by the approximately 80,000 Tibetans, into exile. This marks the darkest and most critical period in the history of Tibet. As we commemorate the Tibetan National Uprising Day, we honor our brave martyrs and express solidarity with our brothers and sisters inside Tibet who continue to languish under the oppressive Chinese government. In these past 66 years and more so today, under the current Chinese leadership, a deliberate and dangerous strategy to eliminate the very identity of the Tibetan people as unique human race, as evidenced by large-scale restriction imposed on the monasteries with complete denial of freedom of religion, and over 1 million young Tibetan children have been forced to enroll in colonial-style boarding school across Tibet. Under the guise of promoting national common language, use and teaching of Tibetan language is severely restricted. The Chinese government's unchecked mining and construction projects have irrevocably caused extensive damage to Tibet's natural environment, with severe implications for far beyond its borders. All these acts and practices of China defy not only international and domestic laws, but even the basic human values. The founder of communism, Karl Marx, maintained that oppressed nationalities have the right to self-determination, and he opposed national oppression, national exploitation, while criticizing nationalism. However, the Chinese Communist Party has turned its back on its founder's ideology and forcibly imposed a fabricated concept of Chinese nationhood on all ethnic groups, including Tibetans. Tibetans are politically treated as the lowest class citizens, requiring constant surveillance in all their activities, day and night. Tibetan children are forced to learn Chinese language and communist ideology, and Tibetan Buddhists is being sinicized. These policies contradict Marxist principles. Envisioned by His Holiness, the Tibetan people remain committed to the path of nonviolence and dialogue in finding a lasting and mutually beneficial solution to resolve the Sino-Tibet conflict through a middle way approach. It also reaffirms our confidence that the Tibetan people, the rightful custodians of the Tibetan plateau since its formation, embody unique religious and cultural traditions that cannot be erased, an indomitable spirit that cannot be broken, and an unparalleled leadership of His Holiness the Dalai Lama that cannot be replaced. His Holiness turned 90 this year, and so this year will be celebrated as the year of compassion. The essence of this celebration is to learn, practice, and promote the 4 commitments of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. These 4 commitments are: 1. Promoting human values; 2. Global religious harmony; 3. Preservation of Tibetan religion and culture; and 4. Revival of ancient Indian wisdom. These commitments transcend the boundaries of specific national and ethnic interests, striving to create a compassionate society and peaceful world for all humanity. On this occasion, the Kasha would like to highlight the 4th commitment, which is to revive the ancient Indian wisdom. The revival of an ancient Indian wisdom is not simply reviving a particular religion or religious tradition. Rather, it is about balancing external material progress with inner spiritual growth based on ancient wisdom. Tibetan language plays an important role. Tibetan language preserves extensive collection of ancient Indian knowledge, both in quantity and quality, that is unmatched in any other language. Approximately 5,000 Indian classical texts have been translated into Tibetan, the result of dedicated efforts by Indian and Tibetan scholars and translators over many centuries. The best way to address Tibet's immediate and long-term challenges for us Tibetans is to understand and follow the path shown by His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Finally, the Kasha would like to take this opportunity to express our heartfelt gratitude to Wisconsin, the government of Wisconsin, and people of Wisconsin for their support of Tibet cause and the welfare of Tibetan community. In conclusion, we earnestly pray for the long life of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. May the truth of Tibet prevail. The Kasha, 10th March 2025. Peg Yalo! Peg Yalo! Peg Yalo!
Ms. Teppel of SFT Madison chapter member to say a few words commemorating the March 10th Tibetan National Uprising Day.
Dashi Dilla, and good morning, everyone. My name is Tenzin Sepal, and I am a proud member of SFT Wisconsin. We gather here today to remember the courage, resilience, and spirit of the Tibetan people who stood up against oppression on March 10, 1959, in Lhasa, the capital of Tibet. On this day, nearly 7 decades ago, Tibetans rose to defend their rights, their culture, and their very existence as people. It was a day that sparked the Tibetan Uprising, an act of resistance against the Chinese government's unlawful occupation of Tibet. The Tibetan people, faced with violence and persecution, refused to surrender their sovereignty. They refused to let go of their traditions, their faith, and their leadership, and His Holiness the Dalai Lama. For many people, it marked the beginning of an ongoing struggle for freedom, justice, and human rights that continues to this very day. Though the 1959 uprising may have been crushed under China's books, the spirit of resistance has never been extinguished. Tibetans in Tibet and around the world continue to face tremendous hardship and oppression. The Chinese government's policies of religious repression, forced assimilation, and cultural erasure have left deep scars on our homeland. But the light of hope still shines. On this day, we not only remember the sacrifices made by those who fought and died for the future of Tibet, but we also stand in solidarity with those who continue to suffer under occupation. Every Tibetan who is unjustly imprisoned, every family who is separated, and every culture that is threatened deserves our unwavering commitment to justice and freedom. We, the Tibetan diaspora, have a responsibility to carry the torch forward. We are the voices of those who cannot speak, the advocates for those who are silenced, and it is our duty to amplify their cries for justice, to raise awareness about Tibet's plight, and to call for a change that will bring true peace and dignity to the Tibetan people. We do not fight with weapons, but with our words. We do not fight for power, but for the preservation of our culture, our religion, and our identity. We fight for the return of His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, under a free Tibet, for the freedom of our people, and for the recognition of Tibet as a distinct and sovereign nation. As we remember the bravery of the Tibetans who gave everything on March 10, 1959, let us renew our commitment to the cause of a free Tibet and independent Tibet. Let us draw strength from their courage and keep their vision alive in our hearts. Today, we took the time out of our day in missing classes or working to not only honor the past, but also declare our determination for a future where Tibet is free, and the rights of her people's autonomy and the way of life are respected. Together, we are the voice of Tibet. Together, we fight against the face of deep injustice. Thank you, and Pegelo.
We have recitation of prayers or words of truth. Denzi melam semen denai.
Yeah.
Today, and the Gindiman Namzu Uti Ching and the capital, Pakole and Namjunichi, Kora, Sasum Pera Yisundo. Is an amateur any pound in Gucci Perona, Gindiman Namzu and look to do the Perona Shay.
Long live the Dalai Lama! 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 Release, release the Panchen Lama! Release, release the Panchen Lama!
Release the Panchen Lama!
Free Tibet! Free Tibet! Free Tibet! Free Tibet! Human rights!
In Tibet!
Human rights!
In Tibet!
Human rights!
In Tibet!
Long live the Dalai Lama! Long live the Dalai Lama! Long live the Dalai Lama! Human rights in Tibet! Human rights in Tibet!
Human rights in Tibet!
Release, release the Panchen Lama!
Release the Panchen Lama!
Release, release the Panchen Lama!
Release the Panchen Lama!
Long live!
Free Tibet! One world, one dream! Free Tibet!
We want justice! We want justice!
In Tibet! In Tibet! We want freedom! We want freedom! Dalai Lama! Dalai Lama! Dalai Lama!
What we want!
We want freedom!
What we want!
We want freedom!
Stop the genocide!
In Tibet!
Stop the genocide!
In Tibet!
Stop the genocide!
In Tibet! Panchen Lama! Panchen Lama! Panchen Lama! Justice! We want justice!
China, China, China!
Out, out, out!
Lama. Pension Lama. Pension Lama. Pension Lama. Out, out, out.
China, China, China.
Out, out, out.
China, China, China. Out, out, out.
Out, out, out.
Out, out, out.
China out of Tibet now! China out of Tibet now! Tibetans! 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 Tibetans!
China out of Tibet now. China out of Tibet now. China out of Tibet now.
Long live the Dalai Lama!
Justice! We want justice!
United Nation!
We want justice!
United Nation!
We want justice!
China out of Tibet now! China out of Tibet now!
China out of Tibet now. Pension Lama in Tibet. In Tibet. In Tibet. In Tibet.
We want justice!
We want justice.
We want justice!
China out of Tibet now!
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 China lies!
Tibetan lies!
China Dalai Lama!
Long live the 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 Dalai Lama!
Tibet belongs to!
Tibetans!
Tibet belongs to!
Tibetans!
Tibet belongs to!
Tibetans!
Tibet belongs to!
Tibetans!
China out of Tibet now!
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 United Nations!
In justice.
United Nations!
We want justice.
United Nations!
We want justice.
United Nations!
We want justice.
China out of Tibet now!
China out of Tibet now.
China out of Tibet now!
China out of Tibet now.
Release, release!
Pension Lama!
Release, release!
Pension Lama.
Release, release!
Pension Lama.
Stop the killings!
In Tibet.
Stop the killings!
In Tibet.
Stop the killings!
In Tibet.
Stop the genocide!
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 In Tibet.
Free Tibet! Free Tibet!
Free Tibet. Free Tibet.
Free Tibet! Free Tibet!
Free Tibet. Free Tibet.
Free Tibet! Free Tibet!
Free Tibet. Free Tibet.
One world, one dream!
Free Tibet! Free Tibet!
One world, one dream!
Free Tibet. Free Tibet.
One world, one dream!
Free Tibet! Free Tibet!
Long live the Dalai Lama!
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 Tibetans! Tibet belongs to!
Tibetans!
Tibet belongs to!
Tibetans!
China out of Tibet now!
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 Free Tibet! Free Tibet!
Free Tibet. Free Tibet.
Free Tibet! Tibet, free Tibet.
Free Tibet, free Tibet.
Free Tibet, free Tibet.
Free Tibet, free Tibet.
United Nations.
We want justice.
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 China out of Tibet now.
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 Release, release.
Panchen Lama.
Release, release.
Panchen Lama.
Release, release.
Panchen Lama.
Stop the killings.
In Tibet.
Stop the killings.
In Tibet.
Stop the genocide.
In Tibet.
Stop the genocide.
In Tibet.
Stop the genocide.
In Tibet.
One world, one dream.
Free Tibet. Free Tibet.
One world, one dream.
Free Tibet. Free Tibet.
One world, one dream.
Free Tibet. Free Tibet.
Long live the Dalai Lama.
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 Tibet belongs to
Tibetans.
Tibet belongs to
Tibetans.
Tibet belongs to
Tibetans.
China out of Tibet now.
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 Release, release.
Panchen Lama.
Release, release.
Panchen Lama.
Release, release.
Panchen Lama.
Long live the Dalai 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 Lama.
China out of Tibet now.
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 Free Tibet, free Tibet.
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 Stop the killings. Stop the killings.
In Tibet.
Stop the killings.
In Tibet.
Stop the killings.
In Tibet.
Stop the genocide.
In Tibet.
Stop the genocide.
In Tibet.
Stop the genocide.
In Tibet.
One world, one dream.
Free Tibet, free Tibet.
One world, one dream.
Free Tibet, free Tibet.
One world, one dream.
Free Tibet, free Tibet.
Long live the Dalai Lama.
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 Tibet belongs to Tibetans.
Tibet belongs to Tibetans.
Tibet belongs to Tibetans.
Tibet belongs to Tibetans.
China out of Tibet now.
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 Release, release.
Panchen Lama.
Release, release.
Panchen Lama.
Release, release.
Panchen Lama.
Release, release.
Panchen Lama.
Stop the killings.
In Tibet.
Stop the killing.
In Tibet.
Stop the killing.
In Tibet.
Stop the killings.
In Tibet.
Religious freedom.
In Tibet.
Religious freedom.
In Tibet.
Religious freedom.
In Tibet.
Religious freedom.
In Tibet.
China out of Tibet now.
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 Free Tibet, free Tibet.
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 One world, one dream.
Free Tibet, free Tibet.
One world, one dream.
Free Tibet, free Tibet.
One world, one dream.
Free Tibet, free Tibet.
China lies.
People die.
China lies.
People die.
China lies.
Tibetan die.
China lies.
Tibetan die.
Out, out, out. Out, out, out. Panchen Lama. Panchen Lama.
Long live the Dalai Lama. Long live the Dalai Lama. Long live the Dalai Lama. Human rights.
In Tibet.
Human rights.
In Tibet.
Human rights.
In Tibet.
Religious freedom.
In Tibet.
Religious freedom.
In Tibet.
Religious freedom.
In Tibet.
China, China, China.
Out, out, out.
China, China, China.
Out, out, out.
Human rights.
In Tibet.
Human rights.
In Tibet.
Stop the killing.
In Tibet.
Stop the killing.
In Tibet.
Stop the killing.
In Tibet.
Stop the genocide.
In Tibet.
Stop the genocide.
In Tibet.
Stop the genocide.
In Tibet.
China, China, China.
Out, out, out.
China, China, China. Stop the killing.
In Tibet.
Stop the killing.
In Tibet.
Stop the killing.
In Tibet.
Stop the genocide.
In Tibet.
Stop the genocide.
In Tibet.
Long live.
Dalai Lama.
Long live.
Dalai Lama.
हमें क्या चाहिए?
आज़ादी चाहिए,
हमें क्या चाहिए?
आज़ादी चाहिए,
बेराम से,
सरमाई,
बेराम से,
सरमाई,
या मर फेंके,
ताजूजी,
या मर फेंके,
ताजूजी,
Stop the genocide.
In Tibet.
Stop the genocide.
In Tibet.
Stop the genocide.
In Tibet.
Stop the killing.
In Tibet.
Stop the killing.
In Tibet.
Stop the killing.
In Tibet.
Human rights.
In Tibet.
Human rights.
In Tibet.
Human rights.
In Tibet.
China, China, China.
Out, out, out.
China, China, China.
Out, out, out.
Senge kya madne tha chetongi kiche mi malong sho senge kya madne tha chetongi